Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This ticks off another viewer's requested video from the set that you gave me and we voted on, except for this isn't a one. This is the idea of this video is that it will repeat many times looking at different orchids, and of course it's the spotlight video where we spotlight an individual orchid. Obviously it'll need to be one that I've got, and preferably one I've had a while, which in this case isn't true, but it sort of is. I'll explain what I mean. This was a plant I had round the old place that did incredibly well, grew into a specimen plant, had mass bloomings each year, was very popular, and it just keeled over when I came round here. It just didn't make it. It didn't adjust. So I lost it. But then, how can I say I've got it? It's because I have a replacement. Excuse me, I'm still a bit rough. This heat's not helping. Tends to dry you out. But Ynse organised one for me from Spice Exotic. And unusual for Spice Exotic, it was a good sized plant to start with. A lot of the Dendrobiums they sell are, you know, just a few canes, if you're lucky. But this was a good plant to start with. So before we look at the plant and have a chat about how I grow it and its little quirks, because it's not your normal Dendrobium, I thought we'd have a look at some pictures that I took of the blooms on the old plant round the old place. So we'll do that first. Okay, we're back now and we can have a look at the current plant. It's behind me. It's behind you. Oh no, it isn't. Wrong time of year for that, isn't it? Right, so this is the plant now. First thing I want to show is the base, because this is a major change from probably the last time I showed it. We now have an extensive root system. This is all new roots. The roots it had weren't bad, but they were inadequate for the size of the plant. However, it managed to survive with them, and now it's doing its best to put out a really good root system. And on top of that, we have a mass of new growths coming out here, and some more around this, side as well, and some up through the middle. So we've now got a lot of new growths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Around 20 plus new growths. And the plant itself is now a good size. And what we have with this plant, there are 3 types of canes on this plant, because it has a 3-year growth cycle, which is unusual for Dendrobiums. I don't know another one that grows like this, but therefore I had to adjust at the other place to accommodate it. And it's a matter of looking at your plant and thinking, what's that plant actually doing? And then depending on what it's doing, you adjust what you do accordingly. Right, so cane type number 1, new growths. These happen in spring, or in my case early summer. Most things are late in this place simply because I don't get any warmth out here until later in the year, not sort of late winter, early spring. It has to wait a while. And then the extra heat and amount of daylight triggers new growths, which we now have lots of. So that's cane type number 1. Cane type number 2 is like this. This is an actively growing cane. Yeah? It's upright, so it tends to show itself near the top of the plant. Yeah? Turning upwards. Actively growing cane. That's type number 2. Type number 3 tends to be hanging down and will have finished growing, so it's done. It's done its 3-year cycle. Now how does this 3-year cycle work then? So we get our new growths in year 1. We'll call it year 1. Yeah? And those push on. You water and feed well through the growing season. They push on and get up to a reasonable size in year 1. Now, whereas a lot of other dendrobiums, you would think as you go into autumn and early winter, you reduce the watering right down, stop feeding, and a lot of them are going to rest through the winter. Not this one. The growth rate does slow down, but it doesn't stop. And this is what I noticed with my plant round the other place. I thought, these canes are still growing, they're still pushing out new leaves. So I kept watering and feeding, just at a reduced rate. And those canes keep growing through the first winter. They don't stop. Come the following year, we're in year 2 now, they grow even bigger. So they carry on growing in year 2, having grown from young canes through the first season, into the winter, slowly on through the winter. I'll show you something else I've just noticed. I've only just noticed that. In a minute. And so we get year 2 still growing, canes still growing, getting even bigger. Yeah? Then we come to winter again. Now in year 2, don't forget we'd have some more of these. Yeah? But we're talking about the ones that were produced in year 1. This is what they look like in year 2. And they're actively growing. They're still extending their length. Now under normal circumstances they will try and grow upright. But eventually the weight starts to arch them over and they will become pendulous. Some people grow these in a pot bolt upright. They normally end up having to stake them because they won't stay upright. It's not their natural growth habit. So anyway, we get to the end of growing season 2 and we go into our second winter. Have the canes finished growing? Nope. They carry on slowly but surely growing through the second winter at the end of the second growing season. We then get into year 3, and in year 3 they will get to the end of their growth period at some point during that year. Now, depending on the development of the canes and your environment, in my environment they don't tend to stop growing until the end of the growing season in year 3. And by that time they will have reached their maximum length for the canes on this plant in my environment. Now other people might get long spindly canes, perhaps they haven't got as much light. Or they might get shorter stubby canes because they didn't feed them very well. So they can vary in the size and shape of the plant. This is a good plant. Next year this will be a specimen plant. Next year I would suggest we will probably get a mass blooming on many of these canes that have yet to bloom. Yeah? So that's the 3-year cycle. You might get a bit of an extension and some of the canes might not finish growing at the end of the third growing season and might carry on a bit into the winter. Normally by then they are starting to get a few yellow leaves here and there, and probably during winter 3 or during growing season 4 they will become deciduous. Now on this particular plant I don't think I've actually got any leafless canes. Just having a look, I don't think I've actually got any at all. Yes I have, and that leafless cane is a little bit special. It has a flower bud, and tucked away behind it on this cane are some more flower buds. So we are going to get some blooms this year, unless they blast because of this blasted heat. Anyway, thank you very much Ynse for starting me off with a really good plant. It's growing well, it likes it here, it wouldn't be producing all those roots and those new canes if it wasn't happy, so it's progressing well. I will give it the same treatment as the plant had in the other place, and we'll see how we get on with it. But as I said, I would suggest we will probably get a lot of blooms next year. There's an awful lot of canes that have reached blooming size, but they've sort of missed their slot. That slot will probably occur next year. This is a smashing plant. As I said, we do have a couple of buds on virtually leafless canes, which is normally where it blooms. If you look at this cane here, it's only got the 2 leaves at the top. It's dropped all the others. This one here has lost all of its leaves, but it's currently growing a kiki as well as a bud. And this particular plant is growing quite a few kikis at the moment. Again on older canes, but there are quite a few coming out. Look round here, kikis coming out. They're on older canes and not on the new canes. New canes are growing on nicely. But it might mean at some time down the line, coming towards the end of this season perhaps, we will remove all these kikis and pot them up and grow them on, and then perhaps after a year's growth and they've produced a reasonable root system and have got some size to them, they could come off and be mounted to start a second plant going. Now, to all intents and purposes, this does seriously look like a single plant, not lots of plants clumped together. Although without taking it apart it would be difficult to tell. But yeah, so Dendrobium hercoglossum. It grows through 3 consecutive seasons and puts on growth in the winter time as well as through the growing season, so it doesn't rest. Well, it doesn't the way I grow it. It likes good light. I would suggest it probably doesn't like sunlight. The leaves are very thin, they're very fine, and some of these leaves look a little pale. That probably means it's just about getting enough light, possibly a fraction over the top, but it's not doing any harm to the new growths. That's where you can tell if your light's over the top. Your new growths are not going to be that happy because they're tender, they're soft, they haven't got the resistance. So yeah, good light, as much light as possible in the winter, although I would suggest still keeping it out of the direct sun. Temperature wise, this can go down to 12 degrees in the winter time, quite happy. It would probably keep the growth going at a faster rate if it was grown under lights in the UK in the winter time and the amount of usable quality daylight was kept at a reasonable length, you know, 11 to 12 hours say, as opposed to dropping down to well under 8 hours, which is what happens naturally in this place during the winter time. So my growth rate in the winter is going to be relatively slow, but it won't stop. It will keep going, slowly but surely. But that rate in the winter time could be adjusted with lights. Different parts of the world might have different ways of dealing with that. Might not get such short day length periods of good daylight in their winter. Yeah, and as far as feed and water is concerned, this at the moment is getting watered every other day, and I never use pure RO water. There's always something in it. The water that I used this morning, for all the mounts, everything got watered this morning, had a TDS of 140. That's a very lightweight feed, but it's enough to keep things ticking over. And then the next feed may well be, 250, possibly up towards 300. There isn't any need to go any higher than a TDS of 300, I wouldn't think. It probably wouldn't be able to use that higher rate of feed. This is growing well at a reasonable rate on the feed levels it gets, so I have no reason to change them. The flies come in, most of them find their way out again. We had 2 butterflies in yesterday, a peacock and a red admiral. The red admiral, strangely enough, had a flip round very slowly, gently, no panic, and it landed on my air plants. It was still there 2 hours later. I ended up very gently picking up the mount with the air plants on and taking it to the door, at which point it flew off. The peacock just made its own way out. But yeah, we've had several different types. We've had a gatekeeper, we've had meadow brown, and red admirals and peacocks so far. Why they aim for that door and come in here, I really don't know, but they do. Anyway, so that's a spotlight on Dendrobium hercoglossum. I would say this is actually an easy-going orchid that you could grow. How well it would do in the home, I wouldn't know, because obviously the humidity is, humidity out here, not at the moment because the door's open because of the heat wave. These are abnormal circumstances. The humidity's gone down below 55, 54 in fact. And by the time the sun's gone across and I can actually shut the door again and put the humidifier on, it'll probably be down to 50, which is the ambient humidity of the air outside. It's too low, but the alternative is a temperature that flies up to 34, 35, and that's not going to do the plants any good at all. I'm better off, I believe, keeping the temperature down at, we are currently at about 27. Let's have a look at the proper thermometer. Yeah, between 27 and 28, that's the real temperature. And the sun is there full on the roof. Now it will get a bit warmer as the afternoon goes on because that heat builds up, and it's not doing it a lot of good having the fan off so that I can make this video. So we're going to call it a day so that I can get the fan on full blast and at least get the airflow, get the air changing. So there we go. I would say that this is actually a better plant than the one I had before. And it hasn't reached its full potential by any means, because a lot of these second year canes are still growing, and some of those are full length canes down here. For instance, this pendulous cane here, which is one of the longest on the plant, is still growing. So yeah, I would say its only downside is the canes are very squashed together. That's probably how it was grown before it came to this country. But a lot of these newer canes are going to spread the plant, because that's the mount, and as you can see it's slightly skew whiff, but nearly all of the new canes are coming out this side of the plant. I think once they get up to full size it's going to balance it and give it a nice rounded shape. And we will get some blooms in the not too distant future. You've seen what they look like at the beginning of the video. They're very attractive, and something that's not very easy to capture, they have a very special thing about them. They hang down. Now, blooms that do that are a nuisance, because obviously the only way you can see the beauty of them is to get underneath them. Now often that's not very practical, apart from crawling around on the floor perhaps, or having them hanging in the roof, which is what I used to do around the other place. Not really an option around here. But if you've got, like now, there's very bright light up there. If you can get the blooms backlit by bright light, they glow. They become very special to look at. They have a glow about them, and with dark spots they're pretty special. So there we go, the first of the requested spotlight videos. I won't be doing them all the time, and they will be obviously plants I've got when there's enough to say about the plant, if you see what I mean. A plant that's brand new that I've only just got, there's not a lot of point in doing a spotlight, is there? So there we go, hope you've enjoyed that. And what's today? Today is Wednesday, jolly good. The year's going to be gone soon. Tomorrow I will be sorting out the Cymbidium pieces that were left over after the split. That will be tomorrow's video. That's Thursday. Friday I don't know what I'll be videoing. I haven't got a clue yet. I'll think of something. And then, as I've said before, Saturday I'm out all day with Anna and Peter, who's our new chairman at Wessex. He's been joint chair for a while, alongside Lynn, who stepped down at the AGM and became vice chair. So she's not gone. So they're still really sharing the role. She just didn't want the title and the responsibility. I think she's done it for about 8 years. And as she said, that's long enough. Yeah, so he's coming with us. Lynn can't come. She's got a family thing that's been organised for her that she doesn't get a say in. Mum, you're coming. We're going to so-and-so. Ooh, okay. But yeah, so day out on Saturday, hopefully a nice enjoyable day. Hopefully come back with some new orchids without spending too much money, we hope. I have had a donation towards the pot for Saturday, thank you very much. And we'll see what we can find. And Sunday will be looking at the new orchids, whatever they are, and a sort of chat about the day out. So that's as far ahead as I go at the moment. So thanks for watching. Don't forget the thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Despite the title, it doesn't cost anything. It's a tick box. YouTube likes to see the numbers growing. Yeah. The thumbs up is interaction. YouTube likes that. It likes comments. Again, interaction. Engagement, I think, is the word they like to use. And obviously, if you're still watching now, then we've got retention because you've watched the whole video. YouTube love that. So if you watch a whole video, do a thumbs up, subscribe during that video, and leave a comment, you can do no more. And YouTube's gonna, you know, give it the old thumbs up. It's in its own way, obviously. So there we go, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.